Stand by. Call it crown. Stand by. Call it crown. Shot first. They don't charge, they don't think, they don't weigh it out. They call crown, get a script, and they play it out. Blue lights flash, but the playbook's downtown. Hands on the scene, but the brains with the crown. Call the crown, call the crown. Say what? Every move, every word, every step getting bounced. Call the crown, call the crown, Badge on the street, but the orders come down. Police show up, say it's just procedure, but procedures start before they meet you. Radio crackle, confidence fake. They don't decide, they just relay it.
TLR in the building. Real talk, real people, real impact. Pick it up. We're on the record. Questions loaded.
Like you said, like administrative stuff, it does not create liability. So that's what I lean on. And you know, like I've done administrative stuff because you're not swearing anything. As long I believe that the shit that creates liability is sworn statements or statements that can be used against you. If you're only asking questions, how can anything be used against you? You're asking about their process. You're literally asking about their stuff. Like there's nothing you're saying, there's nothing you're doing, there's nothing you're getting. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just asking for clarification. They say there's already something going, and all you're doing is asking for clarification. And through this clarification, you might get all the answers you need to be able to crush it. No matter if it's you or John Q. Public or, you know, an anonymous guy, like it's just asking questions.
All right, settle in. This is frankly Dominion. Dominion. If you're here for comfort, affirmation, or someone to tell you you're doing great, wrong room. This is where we unfuck the mind. Don't fuck the mind. Fuck the mind. No gurus, no slogans, no just trust us bullshit.
Asking about, you know, what's going on, what's happening with the risk, you know, what is even happening.
Quiet little assumptions you didn't even realize you agreed to. Agreed to. We take apart language, we take apart authority, we take apart those quiet little assumptions. And here's the thing, if you're comfortable right now, you're not listening closely enough.
We're not here to debate. We're not here to educate. We're here to say the part everyone pretends they didn't notice.
This isn't about crime. This isn't about law.
This is about how you end up blamed before either one shows up.
That silence?
That's the sound of the system hoping you answer first. Tonight we're talking procedure. The kind that sounds boring, moves fast, and decides things quietly. Your call is important to us. Frank, all right. Listen up.
Your Westpac team.
Yeah,
Oh,
that just means it's computer generated. Nobody actually, it's just by default, by the machine just sent it out. Nobody actually sent it out.
It's like a form letter. You're saying, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's just auto. What you're doing is you're calling in to help them because they seem confused, essentially. So what I do is I fill in the blanks for them. I said, does the bank own, hold, and manage all the accounts? They say yes. Then I ask who they're looking for, who the mail is to go to, and they're going to say the owner of the account. And then I'm going to say, well, we just established that's the bank. And they're going to say yes. And then I say, can you make a notation? And that's how it seems to go away quite efficiently.
Oh, okay. So who does the bank own or hold the account? Okay.
Own, hold, and manage.
Own, hold, and manage. Okay. Well, that's quite an on-point question, huh?
Very much so.
Bank account holders are being asked to do because of this particular legislation.
Yeah, right.
And so that's the thing, and it's basically updating the account details, and they're asking for government documents Like identity documents. This is what that's what they want. But they're not saying that. I don't believe they've used the word required. There's no, there's that. Well, I can have a look at it when I share it, but it's not the sort of like an insistent, like you have to do this or we'll close the account. They're not, there's no indication, they're not using those words. It's so I think
But they
it's
are
more,
cutting off accounts, though.
well, they're not saying that they will, they're not saying, mentioning anything that they would do that, but from experience of what I've heard from others, that that could happen. It doesn't, I mean, it could be totally unfounded, just a presumption that might happen if no one responds to it and doesn't do what they're asking, or if depending on what question, because I believe a question needs to be asked in response to it, and then what that question is, and then where that goes, whether it just sort of like, like the question ideally that I'd like to ask is something which would, where they'd just leave it all alone and go away. And I mean, if I don't have to do what they're asking, I'm not going to do it. I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will close the account, because what it is it's all just the computer doing it, what's called default. Default means to no fault. So that the bank didn't do it, nobody did it. The computer does it by default. So that's why the account will be closed. It's a way of clearing their books off and also ensuring that they are able to do their updates. And the only thing that's required is that there needs to be a note on the account. The account needs to be spoken to by the representative, not by transcript. Transcript just prompts them. But what needs to be is a note put on by the representative. The whole point is for the representative to essentially be unable to do what they were asked. And that's because the simple question of does the bank own, hold, and manage ensures all liability is with them, and they're going to agree with each one of those. So they're agreeing. So it's the same thing as saying, do you agree with that? Whenever they ask you for something, it's no different.
Okay. Yeah, I think I get that. So you're saying, okay, so the one of the questions that you said before was, do you own, manage, or own, or hold, or manage the account? Would that would be a prompt that they have to respond to, you think?
Yeah. What they're doing is they're going to tell you that you own it.
Uh-huh.
And that's why you ask them if the bank is the owner, and that cancels that out. And then they're going to say that it's yours. And that's why you're going to point out that they're holding it, because that shows that it's theirs. And then at the end, we're talking about managing it, and whoever's managing it is the liable party. That whoever is in charge of managing it is the one that is ultimately liable, and they will agree with that statement that I just made.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. Okay, but I mean, yeah, that's as you said, that they're going to assume that you or your is the owner, but that I know in some of the banking codes here, at least one of the banks, it's got. Do you know what I mean by banking code?
Oh yeah.
And it's got, the bank is we, us, we, our and us, and the customer is you and your, which is making it. But who is you and your? It's like, is the question.
Who's the
Which most
customer is
people
what I'm
don't.
wondering.
Yeah, who's the customer? Well, the customer and you and your, who is that?
Well, yeah, well, that's the whole thing is why are they even suggesting that they're providing information? Does that not really add more confusion? I don't think it's helping when they add that in there. So that's why it has nothing to do with the paperwork. It just has to do with what the people are trained on and what the computer does by default. It's the age of the Terminator. We're against the machine, not the people.
Yes, but I mean, but I think I grasp that concept. Like some people have said that to me. They'll I actually did an AI sort of question, and it basically, and I said, why do if you're asking someone a question, like some entity or whatever, why do you have to ask the question several times before they actually act or respond? And it basically says that that the computer is initially either reading, I don't know, it says reading the responses, but it's like the question sometimes has to be asked several times before maybe someone that's not the computer comes in and responds to that.
Right.
And it's all, I guess it's like just how things are programmed, but there must be something in there like where it's not just the computer, like there to trigger someone coming in that's not the computer, that the question that's being asked.
That was the one. That is the question. As far as what I found I mean, I can't even count how many. And when face to face with the bank managers, that seems to, I've yet to find anything that, I mean, there's nothing left to cover. It covers everything. And it's using their language enough that they actually usually thank me for it being so simple for them to apply their discretion. Essentially, that's the other magic phrase is asking them if they have any discretion. Some of them don't believe they do. And so they can't help you if they believe they can't do anything at all. So you might as well just hang up and try again, right?
Okay. But I mean, it's all based on assumptions, these things anyway, right? So, and that's what you're getting. That question is basically finding out that we're not operating on assumptions. It's like finding out like who is the account holder, who is managing it, who's the owner. It's like
that's great. Yeah, like Dominion was saying was mentioning about how who actually received the mail. I mean, who was it meant for? They sent it to an address, but they sent it for somebody they believe is the account holder. I mean, they've made a mistake, right? Did they actually send it to who it was meant for? Just because it went to the right address, who was actually meant to receive it? Well, it's going to say account holder. I mean, that's where we need to assess who is that, and who do they think they're speaking with, and what role do they think the bank is? Yeah.
Question, Brother Frank. So this will definitely expose some key contradictions. Okay, but I guess the question is, how is this going to tie in and help with the offer that is asking about updated ID?
Not an offer.
And
I've seen lots of that and dealt with lots of that. So I'm just saying that not necessarily for you to do, but this is just what I've done in the past and what I've helped others. Like, in other words, like they hand me the phone and I just help them out with it. And it's been no issues. And I find that it's actually usually a pleasant conversation once everybody knows who's who, right?
I mean, that seems like well, the approach that you said, like just starting with the question about who's the owner and who's the holder and who's the manager of the account, and then and then establishing that they have to admit that they're doing all those things. That's them.
Yep.
I mean, there's sense in that to me. I've sort of avoided sort of doing the calls and things like that, but I guess maybe because I'm sort of hung up about, you know, although I haven't really done much talking to the bank, but when dealing with revenue officers and things like that, they want you to admit to being your,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
which is but I've actually got around that and go, when they ask, you know, what's your name, and I go your, and then I say the name, and they don't
That's funny.
pick up on it.
That's funny. Well, that's where I started, which was dealing with the revenue agency, yeah, they're all reading from a script, right? Like that's the main thing, is most of these people, they're just reading a script, and all you need to do is just navigate the script, and you know, they can't really defend logic. I mean, if they're going to say that the bank owns it, they can't in the same breath say that you own it. I mean, it's just very hard for an individual to do that, right?
Yes, so I mean, just by asking those key questions, questions that use the key, using those key words, then it basically it wipes out anything that they're asked. They're not actually asking me for that information. If they say they're the owner, the holder, and the manager of the account, it puts it back on them. But
That's right. Yeah, because they're holding it because they own it, and because they own it, they manage it. There can't be one without the other. You know, they're managing it because they're holding it, and that's because they own it. I mean, it doesn't matter which direction you go.
right. Yes, and that should be just sort of cutting everything, like sort of like that's just sort of stops anything further, right? Well, that will tick the box when they admit to who they are and yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a childish clarification, because it's not their fault. They just don't know any better, and you're kind of gently waking them up, right?
Yeah, yeah. Will some of them not get it though? Actually,
Uh, if they're not understanding what's going on, which is very, like, the computer is going to read the transcript and tell them what to do. Like they if they can read English, they know what's going on to a degree of what to say to you, but comprehension of the English is usually not there if they're not English speakers, and you end up uh, more so wanting to just talk off the record. That the whole thing is that you're not trying to come across official. You're just pointing out something that you're asking them, you know, does the bank own it and hold it and manage it? And they're going to say yes. And then you're going to ask, then what is the issue? Who are you looking for? And then they're going to say the owner. And then they're going to realize. And if they don't realize, you guide them a little bit, but some people, they're not there to help or even do their job. And so those ones, it's easier to just say, oh, I'm busy right now, I'll have to call you back, and just hang up. Keep it polite, because these people can put notes on the account, right?
right. Yes, well, they probably do.
Well, yes, and that's why you want to be very polite, and it's just innocent questions, and then they'll realize it, and then it's impossible for them to enforce it. You just basically acting like, once they say it, oh, I guess we're all summed up, we're all good now. Did you check the box so we don't have to worry about that with the computer sent in the mail? You know, that's it.
Okay.
That's the attitude anyways. And it's again, there's no reason for it, and because they didn't state a reason, right?
No, they didn't state a reason, but it doesn't mean that there might not have been a trigger, as Dominion said, that is prompting them to send it to this particular account, asking for that.
Yeah, I mean, they should have shown a record of that and said it, but for them to just say it off the record again through a human interface, then that's their game. You don't ever believe that. You only believe what comes in the mail, and all that came in the mail is something from a computer by default. Nobody sent it.
Yes. Okay.
So question though, what would be the harm in asking a clarifying question just to make sure though?
Nobody has any answers. That's why.
So then why would you be asking them whose account it is then?
Because they know that. They know the bank owns it, holds it, and manages. That's about all they know.
Okay.
So you're actually saying that they know that the bank holds and manages it?
Of course. I mean, they know the bank owns the bank. Of course, it's the bank. It can't be yours. It's the bank's. And then they know the bank's holding it. That's where the accounts are. That's why you got to go to the bank. And then and then it's who's managing it. I mean, they know who's managing it. Some of them are even in manager position.
Exactly. Yeah. So those. Yes. All right. Yeah. Got it. But they're not really. Then the things that they're. Yeah. Okay. It's you have to actually speak to someone to get to that, to establish those things.
Yeah. The whole thing is you want to speak generally to begin with, right? You're just calling in and asking if what you were told is correct, that the bank owns, holds, and manages. You want to basically, you're just confirming that's true, and that kind of tells you where they're at. If you ask, is it true? I was told this. That worked out well for many calls. I found that was very nice, and they respond well. And once they confirm this information, that's when you say, well, it looks like the computer sent me something, and it's using this terminology, and it sounds like we just went over that. Is there something you need to check a box or something? And they're gonna say they already know what's up. You're speaking their language. It's already over. They'll just check the box and say, yeah, no worries, no problem. I mean, that if they have half a brain, if they don't, I mean, it's hard to say on what they do when they got half a brain, but usually you can tell when you ask these kinds of questions.
Okay, right, yep.
Because it's a logic. You're figuring out the logic and reasoning capabilities of the individual with these questions at the same rate. I mean, they need to be able to comprehend what's just happened. That's about it.
Yeah, because I mean, everything's based on how they've been programmed they have been programmed, or what the information they have in front of them.
They're scared. They're scared. They're just doing what they're told. They're scared. They don't want to lose their jobs. That's really what's going on.
And may I add one thing? The only difference I would do is what I would say is I would send in a letter or call, and I would say, it looks like this was automatically generated. Can you confirm whether a human compliance officer reviewed the account and made an actual decision, or whether this is a system generated KYC update request? That's what I would ask. Because to me, that would settle the whole thing. If there's a trigger, then it'll be stated. If it's mandatory, it'll be stated. If it's not necessary, it'll be stated. And you see what I'm saying? Like, to me, that would address the entire issue. And you're asking a question. You're not saying I'm not going to do it. You're not saying I am going to do it. You're just asking a question. Hey, is this computer generated, or did somebody send this to me? Boom.
Okay.
The only thing is that you've now admitted that you've received something, right?
Yes, right. But when you make the call, what do you refer to? What does one refer to?
Well, once you find out the answer to those questions, and if they answer it and it makes sense what they've said, they've agreed with the obvious, which they will, and at that point, you're then asking if there's anything that needs to be done on this account, and that's when I'd bring up the account. Once you figure that, okay, this person can understand what's going on, you ask if there's anything that needs to be done on the account, because now this individual is going to see that they need to check a box, or they may say, oh, there needs to be this and that, and then that's when you say, well, didn't we just go over that information? And that's when they're going to realize that they can't say the account holder needs to do something. They just said the bank's the account holder.
Okay, I see.
And
So when when you're calling up, you're basically asking the general questions, and you haven't referred to any account yet. And that's it's only when you've established, that they're the holder and the owner and the manager of the bank accounts, that then you refer to a specific account.
That's right.
Okay.
well, how about generally, when this type of KYC letter is sent, is it mandatory or only a request to update details?
Well, that's another thing, is it? Because there isn't anything, I believe, in the language, or what's indicated that it's saying that it's mandatory. They haven't used that language as far as my recollection goes. So, so that'll be something to have a look at.
Yeah, they usually don't use that language, because then they would be making themselves mandatorily required to do it, you see?
Hey, the phone's about to die here, guys. I got to jump off, y'all. Peace and love, okay?
Peace and love, brother.
Okay, see you, Dominion.
Peace.
Yeah. The reason they don't say mandatory is because the letter is for them. Like, that was what we're devising here. So that they never really demand anything of themselves.
Right. Okay.
Tricky.
Yes. All right. Yes. I'm having to think in those terms. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you realize it's all their stuff, it's all theirs, and you can't even use it. You gotta tell somebody to do something, and then they do it. They use it, and then you receive it. Maybe. That's the setup. That's how it works. That's how they like it to work. But this is doing is showing that they're in the manager position because they're liable. They're obligated. That's what all those phrases do, is they activates all three tiers of what their position is supposed to do.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So when you clarify that they're the owner, that means they're the ones that need to pay the bill. That's what owner means, right? And
Right.
and the holding, what the holding is possession. They're trying to figure out who's in possession of it. And we know they're in possession of it. They're not going to fool us like that. And then the managing is we know who's in charge and who's liable. That's them. So you see, all of those are the entirety of their capacity.
Right. But I mean, again, it's like most people think that they are liable, and that's their account and they're in possession of it.
That's why and if they think that they should get the bill.
So if those sorts of things get established, well, as you said, if you're having a conversation, it's just a conversation, right, with someone else. So it's not anything official, except that they might take notes. But
that's why you start off generally speaking.
So it's not in writing, and it's not in writing, and it's not formal. The things that they would be admitting, that's like the owner, the holder, and the manager. Because if those things were established in writing, then, well, I guess at any point in time that they could close the account, right? And if they were admitting that they need to pay the bill.
That's right. That's what all the paperwork says, but we're just unable to read it because they've taught us to read it differently.
Well, I mean,
it actually says what I'm saying. That's how I figured it all out, was just by literally reading it instead of interpreting it, right?
well, I mean, it comes down to who thinks that they own the name and who thinks that they're that that's them, the name, and
Yeah.
those sorts of things. That there's this one. Can one own anything? Well, like the physical thing, you know, as you said, the biological. In the system, this make believe system that's been created for things to be able to happen.
Yeah, we're using a biological interface, right? And none of the rules are written for a biological interface. They're written to be followed, but not to actually be used biologically. This is round one. We've never done that before. We're using, that's what this risk in all these police officers, they're all worried about everything because none of the laws allowed for any protection of the biological interface. So they got to make up a bunch of stuff to keep themselves safe. I'm doing quotations there. So that's because if they followed the code, they'd be dead tomorrow, because the code is written for a machine to follow, not an interface, right?
Ah, right. Well, I mean, everything's written for something that's, you say a machine, but something that's been made up, that it's something that exists in thought, but it's not physical.
Yeah, it's like a book, you know, the story in the book. Is it physical? I mean, the book's there, but the story is it, right?
Well, the story exists in the thoughts, but it doesn't have any physical properties.
Well, but that's the thing, is that they're going to review the writing, which is a book, with the story in it, which is physical.
Well, I mean, but my question would be, the story, can it only be the made up stuff, and have nothing in relation to the physical? Like, can the physical cross over into the make believe? One might think it can, but can it?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. I think that we're unable to decipher the difference, because the only conclusion I found that helped, which was, if you read it, and literally the words say what they mean and mean what they say. If we read something and interpret it, we didn't actually read it. We just interpreted it. So we're introducing something to the words instead of actually looking at what the words are indicating. And I find that the words, when you look at what they're actually indicating, the message is entirely different, and actually lines up with what we're witnessing.
I guess to be able to read it rather than interpret it, one has to have a certain realization of awareness of some of the key words, like your, and which, because one will then interpret that means, because one has been conditioned to think that one is all these characters or roles or whatever, and one is your, when your, for instance, is them, perhaps, you know, like it's in the case of the bank. Is that what you mean? Like they're talking about them, referring to themselves?
Well, when
that
paperwork is actually a complete distraction. like I said, they don't do agreements. What they're doing is they're providing an instrument to be filled out, and that everything is an instrument, which is because it's all a transaction. The bank doesn't do agreements; it does transactions, right?
Okay.
Different, right? This is
Uh,
just from
right.
firsthand.
Yes.
This is what
Okay.
they're doing. I mean, this is actionable. So a transaction, the great thing about transaction is it's got its own number, it's registered, a transaction is finalized, it's like its own entity. A transaction is complete, it's whole, it's satisfied. There could never be an issue with it. There's no outstanding amount, there's no debt related to it. A transaction is complete. It's beautiful.
Okay, I think I've got to think in those terms when it comes to banking. It's like a different approach to some other things, some other interactions with other entities, for instance. Okay, yep. I just have to get my head around that aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's different, but I found that it needs to be different because everything else is seemingly not working, and this is just from the horse's mouth. This is what they consider to be correct, and what they respond to, and you know, some of them they spill the beans if you know, you get them on the right time of the day, and some people you can click with, because when you snap them out of the coma, there's a bit of you know, it's a bit of endorphins are released, right?
I wonder how if they do snap out of the coma, it might change a few things for them.
Well, I spent quite a bit of time just calling bank after like back to back, like all day long, and asking these questions to try to snap them out of it. And you'd be surprised in how many of them they thank you, and like, you know what I mean? Like, their day is going to be brighter when they're outside next. Like, it changes. They become putty because they're being lied to. You're opening their eyes to, wow, I'm being trained to say something that's illogical.
Right. Actually, you aren't the one that does that other YouTube channel that does recordings to the various banks and things, are you?
Potentially.
I forgot. I forgot the name of that account, but I have listened to some recordings that I think which regards Liberty Bank. Was it Liberty Bank? I can't remember what it was.
Oh no, that sounds like Toto, that one.
Oh, Toto. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, Toto. Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's who inspired me to a long time ago. Yeah. He inspired me to make these calls and ask these questions, right? And that's another thing is it's important to record them, because they're keeping a record, and you need a record, and you need to be confident that there is a record that you've reviewed. You know what was said. It doesn't matter what they're saying. You know what was said. You've reviewed it. You're not going to be swayed, and that confidence is comes along with realizing that they're just confused. I mean, you're not there because you know anymore. You're going to ask general, genuine questions. They're going to answer it. And then all you're going to do now is just, you know, kind of, you know, help them realize that they've been lied to without any sort of plan to do that. It's already been said out loud. Now the obvious comes about is that if they're looking for that party, I mean, they just said who that party is.
Right. Yes, it must be interesting for them, any of them, to actually get to that point, that realization.
Oh, yeah, they have no choice. That's the thing, is you kind of gotta have a little bit of a personality where The account could have you got other accounts with other banks that got millions in them. Money is not a thing. It's about its business. It's nothing personal. You're calling because it's just business, and just because that account has whatever in it, I mean, it's like that because of their shortcomings. That's the attitude. It's because they're not answering questions, right? Like that's why you're not using the account. Who cares what the account looks like? That's because they're going to judge on that, right? That's how they look at the profile. And so you got to realize that they don't know what other accounts there are in the name. I mean, they have a little bit. There's a little bit of a tally that is kind of the one under one umbrella, but at the end of the day, the attitude is simply that you've read it, you're confident in what it says. It clearly says one thing and only one thing, and you're just going to guide the dazed and confused employees.
Right. But coming to the realization that those pieces of paper that one believes are applied to themselves, those people that you're talking to, well, then they would come to the realization that those pieces of paper aren't for them either, right?
No, I know you would think so.
But
You
they
would
don't
think
get
so.
that.
Well, no, very few on the phone call actually, I mean, you can tell because they start laughing because there's nothing else they can do. Most of them, when they're female, they get really quiet and shy, I find. So just because they get really quiet, don't need to fill the gap. You just let it ride. Some of them will just go silent. It's very interesting. But at the end of the day, if they're not fulfilling, like, reaction wise, they get really quiet. All you do is you just talk to the phone like it's a transcript, because everything's transcribed. So if they get quiet, you just say, all right, this is for the transcript, just for the record, that that the employee did confirm that, who holds and manages, which is the bank, and that they were looking for the party. You know what I mean? You just summarize it, and I called in to help the bank locate, and under essentially in good faith, you believe them as the manager of the account to handle it properly.
Right.
You're helping them. I mean, it's the letters for them. I mean, if it went to you, I mean, how are they going to know what to do? You got to help them. The letter went to the wrong place, essentially.
So do you actually say that? You don't actually say those words?
No, I know. That's just a mentality. That's that.
Yeah.
Because you're not really there to help. You're just there to do business, which is
Yes.
tellers. They're tellers. You got to tell them. If you ask a question, the answer is no. If you ask these particular questions, then that stimulates them to realize, oh shit, I'm at work, and those are all things I'm supposed to be doing. And instead of people calling in and asking dumb questions and acting like it's all their stuff, which is really, I mean, can you blame anyone? I mean, everyone's just copying what they're told. But when you look at what they're writing, when you look at that letter next, you'll see it's quite clear that it's for you to be standing in front of the bank and reading it off the paper to them. It's called a statement. It's for you to read as a statement to them, for them to then act.
Right. Okay.
Tricky, eh?
Yes. That's an interesting way to put it.
And you'll see then all of a sudden the your and all that stuff makes sense. It's all actually in the right place. You're saying it to them. You want it to be your, because that's them.
Right.
It's all of them. It doesn't matter who they say is who. I mean, they say you are you. Well, how does that help? I mean, it must be them. I mean, it's all their paperwork. Who else could they be speaking about? They didn't know I was going to be there. This is part of the template. It couldn't have anything to do with me.
Right. But one is led to believe that it does.
That's the danger of being led anywhere. That stuff's heavy, right?
Well, I mean, it's the condition that the conditioning or the programming that one has, that one is led to believe a whole lot of things.
That's right. Yeah. Once you start using faith, you know you're working off their belief.
Once you start using,
once you work off of faith, then you're using their belief.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, seems like a lot of things are belief, right? If you're not asking the question, but the thing is, when you ask certain questions to whoever, they like to the thing called the council, or the someone from the revenue office or whatever, or a revenue office. They will do anything to avoid answering the actual question. Like especially if you're okay, the banks don't operate off agreement, but some of the other entities, the government, so-called government entities, that seems like they do operate off agreement.
Yeah. They're that's the appearance that they're going to uphold, which is the only way to make you feel obligated, right?
Yes, yeah. But I mean, the agreement is, according to them, it's like if you do ask AI questions, that it comes back to this social agreement that one has. But how can an agreement be? How can you have an agreement with someone you've never met, or someone you don't know, with someone you don't even know? You don't even know what they mean by what they say.
That's right, and they don't even know who they are, if anyone does in the first place. But that's the whole thing, is that you just proved that there is no way that they could be doing agreements, because we just went over how it's impossible. You just said it.
Yeah, I mean, they talk the social agreement, but like, how can that be an agreement? It's an assumption that's what it is.
It's an instrument called an agreement. Simple as that.
So it's in name only, but, well, I mean, I guess agreement could mean anything to anybody. It's like, it depends on what one's definition of that is.
It will be on the paper, it will be bold, and it will relate to some definition area. It is one of the words they're going to alter and try to create a long narrative to confuse one with. Usually that's
you mean if such a word as agreement was on the paper? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it'll be all capital and bold, or just bold or underlined or something, and then that would refer you to a separate page for interpretation, right?
Right. And so that's their definition, isn't it?
Everything is theirs. The whole thing is theirs. That's the whole point, is that they're but it's for you to read to them. So that's why when you're reading something, the honest question is for you to be able to read it correctly to them. That's what the statement's for, right? Why else would they send it to you, right?
Okay. Well, most people would think otherwise, right?
But I know, yeah, I know. but just looking at like undeniable facts, that's where you end up, right?
Well, I mean, if you can establish those undeniable facts, with a simple question to start with, which puts everything on the right track. At least it starts it on the right track.
Well, when you look at the mail, when it comes in the mail, that was the beginning of this, right?
Yeah.
So you've seen something in the mail, and in the little window, they call it a window on the envelope, you've seen a string of letters, and that they were familiar, and you recall signing an instrument in this, what they call a bank, And so you kind of expected to see this mail, right?
Well, on some level, yeah, I guess it depends what if it were the thing called a statement, or maybe does anyone get those in the mail anymore anyway, or do
I
they?
hear you. I'm
Very
I'm
few.
pro paper, so I do. Yeah,
Oh well,
everybody. Yeah.
yeah, no, but a lot of people. It's not okay. That's a generalization. It seems people are being, let's say, encouraged to not go have the paper, but and they do things, in the world of, what do you call it, zeros and ones or whatever,
Yes.
whatever it is, the world of where, where things are even more make believe, you might say, than other things. At least a piece of paper has got some physical properties to it.
That's right. Yeah, they can't alter it behind the scene. That's what the whole concept of a wet pen signature is, that that's the piece of paper that was in front of you when you signed it. So they can't it's very unlikely that they're going to alter that piece of paper without you noticing, because the wet pen signature is the only way you can confirm that was the piece of paper in front of you. That's why you're supposed to even signature each individual paper to know that these were the papers that were in front of you.
Right. Whereas if it's all done so-called digitally or whatever, that's like, and well, where is the record to be found? As you say, can it be altered? I guess in cases like that, you can actually get probably, or maybe not always, get a printout, but there's still no wet pen signature. But don't they? I say, I'm using the words they, but it's said that a digital signature is good as a wet ink signature, or a whatever they use with the corporations and things, their logos and whatever. I don't know where you are, but in some of the acts here, I think they say that
Yeah.
a logo is equivalent to a corporation signature, something like that.
Yeah, a mark
A
of the
mark.
establishment, essentially. Yeah,
It's basically a sign, but I mean,
that's right.
everything's a signs, aren't they? So,
Well,
like,
that's a good point, but that's why that's why they put the signature as the sign. So that's why usually they'll include the on the instrument an actual template, what they call like a letterhead. And that's because it's an instrument. Whenever you see something that's a letterhead, or it has everything built in around it, even if it's handwritten in the middle, that's an instrument. It's issued by that institution.
right. And when you
So
say instrument, what do you mean?
that is a tool for operation.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I mean, most of them don't. Most of them have. They do put their sign, or the um, whatever you want to call it, logo, or
It's because it's equivalent to a check. That's what those letterheads are. It's the same as a check. What's a check? It's just a template piece of paper, right?
okay, a template. Okay, yeah.
It's a temple. That's where they're paying homage to. That's the temple. When you look at a document, never mind what's written in there, put in there for information. That could be anybody that put that in, but who actually produces this template that they're using? That's the authority.
Well, I mean, the presumed authority, right? Well, I guess it may be a presumed authority, right?
They created it. It's an instrument they created. I mean, that's where the creator comes in. I see tangibly as a concept is if you draw something, I mean, you created something, unless you copied something from somebody else. But if you try to make a genuine creation of art, that's what a signature is. It's different every time. I mean, that's not something that anybody else is going to step up and say, that's mine? What's the likelihood?
Okay. Yep. But I mean, when you use the word authority, well, it's their own authority.
Yeah, they're the only ones that are going to stand there and give you a hard time if you try to walk away with the item, you see?
Mm,
Right. I
right.
mean, like the security at the store may not have the authority to stop you, but right now that's who's in the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a case like that, yes, they're.
No different.
I can
no,
see that, but I mean, there'd be the other entities that call themselves government, who use those letterheads or those signs, who one may presume have authority.
Yes, and that's the whole thing is the procedures or anything that's written, like we were looking at the code there or the section number, the act, which is really, that's the cause. They're quoting that because the whole reason they're saying that this is occurring, that the computer sent it out, is because of this act. They're entirely saying that this is the purpose or reason for this to occur. The authority, it's not our choice. This is what the act says. That's what they're kind of saying.
Like it has to be done. It's like this is.
Well, they're not saying that.
They're not saying that, but they're using that as a reason. Yeah.
They're presenting it for one to look and be confused enough to do what everyone does, which is whatever they're told. Next time they walk into the bank, they're going to be off guard. They're not prepared. That's why they're successful, is because they've technically provided notice without having to say notice, because they never really said there was anything to notice other than something that was already publicly presented for notice, which is an act. So it's that's why it's by default. The computer is just saying, well, I need to send a statement so that something can act on it. Well, that means it needs to go to an address where something can act on it. So they sent it to you because the bank already was doing everything, right? It's going to send it to itself. Well, it's already done that.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like keeping the illusion, keeping the illusion up of who's who or what's what, or what people think is whatever.
Yeah, the computer is asking for a record for continuity. That's
Right.
what it's looking for. It wants some continuity, some context. They just updated the systems. This is how I'm paying attention to this stuff. I call in one of the telecoms here, and I used to go like this. It would say your account, and I'd say, what do you mean by your? And the computer would like just send me straight to the manager. It was the craziest hack I've ever seen. It was super. Yeah. Now they updated it, and I'll tell you, I use the AI a lot to basically just to practice the possession and trying to straighten it out every sentence. And so I thought, well, this AI sounds pretty smart so far. I'm going to ask it, what does it mean? What does it mean by your? And it actually answered me. I spent 3 years asking this to every AI, and it never, ever once tried to answer me. And this thing just answered me. And I was like, this is more help than I've ever received from any living individual when calling this number. So I thought, this new AI, it's so intelligent now that it surpasses every model that is out on the market for us to use.
And so this, when you asked that, this was when you'd phoned in regard to.
Yeah, this was a telecom. So this was to do with like home internet and
Right.
yeah, and just to on their IVR, just the IVR when calling in, just pressing 611 on the landline. The IVR was actually answering questions. Not that it was like providing answers, but I'm saying like it was not actually using possessive language in its description. Like, it was doing the best I've ever seen an AI model do. So when I finally got through to somebody, the next time I called in, because I was already so content with that, so it did its job. When I spoke to someone, I actually, she slipped up. She was, I guess, a very literal English speaker, so she was actually reading out loud what the computer was saying for their internal stuff. Like, she said right away, the account AI is like summary. Like, she just said exactly what it was. She said the quiet part out loud. So I knew right away, this is the information that they're receiving. They're getting live, updated overviews and summaries, real live time, and suggested outputs, and that's all they do. And they've been doing that for a while, but now it's very intricate, because she read the whole transcript out, and it was very much on point. And in the past, it wasn't as on point as it is now. Now, an actual, like, animal could figure it out, because it was very procedurally knowledgeable of what was correct and what wasn't. So the machine is marking down and knows that there's mistakes on their side, and it's just the people that are desensitized to just reading it. And that's why I'm saying it, you have to snap them out of it so that they can actually act and do their job, because the computer's doing all of their work for them. They don't need to do anything.
So are you basically implying that the conversation that one would be having with them is all, it's all, you know, there's AI that's coming in and aiding them to answer the questions?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's happening with pretty much everywhere you call now. That it's been happening for a while. I was just very suspicious, but now it's been very easy to notice this.
Can you just hold on a moment?
Yeah, for sure.
Are you going, Lee? Yeah. You're going out? Okay. Is Papa here? Okay. I'll finish this call. Would you want me to look after Melly? No, you're taking her with you. Okay. All right. We'll see you later.
I'm only going for a couple of hours in general.
All right.
If I'm not back for dinner, can you put some aside, please?
Yep. No problem.
That'd be good.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Sorry, Frank. This is my son. He's visiting, and was just telling me he's going out.
Oh yeah, no worries. No, that's good.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, it's very interesting about the AI and how it's being utilized. So when you got prompted, when you asked, what do you mean by you got to speak to somebody?
Yeah, the computer knew right away that there was nowhere for it to suggest. So what it says is that, like, I will like, it right away just shot me right past all the menu options and everything. Like, I'm talking when it's saying put in your card number and all that. I'm saying, like, as soon as you hear the possessive word, if you hammer down on it, it was bypassing everything.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
I thought that was crazy. Like, it didn't do it every time, but if I did it the right way, like, it was like how I said it. It was very particular, but there's no way I've ever been able to bypass anything before. And I've tried lots of stuff, because, like, this one company, I must have spent 100 hours with them, over like 9 months.
Oh, okay.
So and that's what I'm saying, is that when you've dealt with a few of these companies, and the reason it was like that is because of the corruption. What they're doing is they're leaking the information from the big company to their sister company, and they set up these accounts without you knowing, and that's what the people that work there are the ones doing it. And so they're doing it because they know somebody in the higher up that is going to cover their butt. And so most people, they just pay the 60% off the bill, And the craziest part is that that amount that they say you owe is not even registered yet. It doesn't even exist because they're waiting for you to call in about it after the email comes in. And then what they say is they need to verify the account. Well, if you didn't set up the account or make the account, then why would you verify an account that shouldn't exist? So they're trying to provide validity to the account while you're trying to call in telling them that there shouldn't be an account.
Okay, so it's just like in recognizing the account that does that. Was it just using the language then?
Well, no, when you call in, they're asking for information to verify the account, not you.
Verify the account. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're not trying to verify you, they're verifying the account. So when they ask you for your name and you provide it, what you're doing is if they set it up with using the information that they already had from the other company that's connected to that company, of course the information is going to be the same. So when you provide any of this information and it lines up, they just now that debt is actually verified and is now active and reported. So by calling in because it looks like there's an outstanding amount, you just gave validity to it. So now that there is an active outstanding amount.
So it's like created it.
That's right. That's right. And they'll say that you need to verify the account before they can speak with you. So it's a scam.
Right.
And this is just how they operate here. And I think this is everywhere. Because it's just you don't realize that what they're doing. They're verifying the account, but they're also confused and they're trying to verify you and the account.
Well, I mean, okay, so that's why you never give out any information, when approached by whoever in whatever way, because who knows where it's going to lead.
Well, it's a voice over the phone. It's just a voice over the phone. I mean, how much can we provide a voice over the phone unless they do extra special things to shore up the difference, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, are we taught to ask for verification on their side? Who are you? Do I know you?
Well, I'm just sending you a link to one right now where that's what this is that situation where the whole thing is that they want to verify you and they want to provide zero verifying information. And once you realize that even if they did, what are you going to do with it? And that's why the whole situation is just the fact that they're hesitant or saying they won't is the biggest red flag one needs. I mean, there can't be an agreement if this is how they're operating. That's why there is no agreement. You realize there couldn't be an agreement with these people, especially if they're being trained like this. This is training. This isn't operation of a business. They're trained to do this to you.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And that's why I say you realize that it's a psyop. I mean, if everybody goes along with the computer, all you need to do is make them realize that the computer isn't their god.
Yeah, right. Well, or other things aren't their god, right? The
computer, whatever the computer says is what it is. That's how their attitude, right?
Well, but I mean, you ask anybody, and then like I ask the husband, and I say, do we have to pay, or do the legal names have to pay the council rates? And he says, well, yes, we do. We have to, have to pay that. And I'm going, well, how can you prove that? And it's just saying because, like, you have to do it because everybody else does it, or.
Well, here's one that you might enjoy, which is the credit card. it's actually it's really bad because we're even unable to handle math, believe it or not. And I'll show you what I stumbled upon, which is that if there's a balance is best explained as the amount held within the account. So the balance is usually in like dollars or pounds or whatever the denomination is. That thing called a balance is indicating an amount that's within the account. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now when the credit card starts at zero balance, that sound right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Unless there's a
Okay.
card fee or something, I guess maybe. Yep.
Right. And now how do you raise an account balance? Is it a deposit that's required?
No.
How do
Well,
you raise an account balance with an account? How do you raise the balance? Usually you got to make the balance go up, there needs to be a deposit. How can there be more in the account unless something's deposited?
right. Okay.
Right. Okay. So it
Yep.
starts at zero. Then it says that there's $1,000, 1,000. Well, now there's 1,000 in there. Right now in the account, there's 1,000. There was zero. Now there's 1,000. So there was a deposit of 1,000, right?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So then the bank turns to you and says that you need to give us another 1,000, and then it somehow is going to equal zero.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't make sense, does it?
It must. Everyone's doing
would
it.
that make it 2,000?
Of course it would.
Because they're not working in negatives, right? There's on those things which I've heard other people point out. It's like if there's a money owing, it's there should be a negative. One would imagine.
Even a negative they owe you. Watch, this is simple. If there's zero in the account and the monthly fees come out, in other words, the account's going to go into a negative.
Okay.
All right. Well, that negative number represents what they just pulled out. So it symbolizes that they've been paid. So why is it still negative? So if it's zero and then they pull their $10 a month or $10 a month out, so now it goes to negative 10. You know, there's nothing in there. Their fee comes out. Now it's negative $10 because the fee is $10, right?
Right.
So then you call in and you say, hey, I was trying to take out this negative 10 and it won't let me. Right? And they say, well, that's because it's negative 10, sir. It means you need to put something in there. And then you say, well, why do I need to put something in there? And they'll say, because the fees came out. I say, the fees came out? And they say, yeah, we pulled the fees from the account. I say, okay, so you received the fees. So they say, yes, we did. I say, so we're all good. And they say, yes. And I say, okay, so why is it negative? And they say, well, we received the fee, but you still need to make not a payment, but a deposit to bring it up to zero. And I say, okay, so the agreement is you're supposed to get $10 a month. And you just told me that you got the $10 a month. But now I need to give you another $10 just to get to zero.
Okay. Yep. I'm getting it.
Yeah. So they got 20 and that wasn't the agreement. Bastards, eh?
Well, yes, that's very interesting. That's psychologically, it's a.
I know, right? Like, so my head exploded when I started. Like, I knew nothing. I just phone calls and just asking questions, like genuine questions. And then all of a sudden I'm realizing, like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff that just none of it adds up. And the whole process is to make it so that all questions that have ever been asked that no one can answer are answered, because that's how you know that it makes sense.
Say that again.
I said if all the questions are answered, then that's how we know it makes sense, is because there's nothing in question. The question's only there because there's something that's
unclear or whatever.
Yeah, not clear, not satisfied. You know, somebody's got dirty diapers.
And so if you just know the right questions to ask, if you just ask the right questions to the right whatever, then
Yeah, you make sure everybody knows who's who, right? You can't do any business, or there can't be anything that happens if we don't know who's who.
but does everybody know who's who though?
Well, all that matters is whoever you want to act as. If you say you're acting as this, then that's what you are, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
that's what you declared. So if we ensure that they declare who they are, then at very least you can say, well, this is what you just said you are. Did I hear you wrong? I mean, the whole thing is we're trying to clear up confusion. We have no bone to pick, but at the same rate, they can't be just talking mumbo jumbo and crisscrossing all over the place like psych ward patients.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
they're in charge of these numbers that that could affect somebody financially in a big way, or affect their day, or they've spent hundreds of hours working for this balance, and we got psych patients running the place.
Yes. Well, but I mean, some of their answers they might be confused by some of their answers. Some of them, well, we might be confused. One might be confused by what one is saying.
You can't be confused when you're there to show them that they're a psych patient without tipping the scales, like that.
Yes.
When you're shaking them when they say, what is your name, you say, are you looking for account information? I mean, like, you're dealing with a psych patient that really, they think they're doing one thing and they're really supposed to be doing another.
It's because it's interesting. If they ask, what are your name? And you ask, are you looking for account information? Because it's not the same thing. It's possibly not the same thing, right?
That's right.
Right. Yes. And that's where that's a bit of that's the trick in the language, right? Or in the question.
That's right.
Okay. I'm just the questions and the way certain things are coming to me. I mean, I understand the whole thing about but I would never have thought to say necessarily, are you looking for account information, or are you looking for whatever, information? I guess account information would be banking, and however, whatever you'd say in a different situation. Would it actually I'm just thinking if you're dealing with a council and things like that, because I mean, as you say, a lot of these, if you call up these people, some of these entities, council, revenue, whatever, some of them won't speak to you unless you tell them who you are.
Right. They want you to lie to them.
Yes.
Yeah. They only speak to liars. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's what this is for. Is for that exact situation. I'm very against. I find it rude when I'm asked to provide something when I called to receive something from them, if anything. I find it rude to be asked for something when we haven't even done a greeting. That's how somebody gets hurt, is with an attitude like that. They cut you off, whatever you're gonna say. They say hi, name and whatever. I mean, who conducts themselves like that? You don't know why I'm calling. I didn't call in to be prompted to answer questions. I'm here to ask the questions.
Well, that's true, actually. Yes, if you're calling them, you're approaching them. You're for probably for some reason or whatever. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, we're just being so fair that it hurts, right?
But it all comes down to how whoever is answering the phone or whatever, how they are trained. and some of them are trained. I've had conversations and I've asked, what do you mean by your, what do you mean by have? And over and over again, and that all of them end up saying, I can't talk with you anymore, or they just hang up.
Yeah, that's
Even though
right.
you're being you're being polite, but because they don't know how to answer the question, and I guess maybe they're getting frustrated, or that's what they're told to do. But then they do these, they have the recordings, they go, please be polite to our blah, 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 and,
That's right. Yeah, because people are getting are frustrated because these are just human interfaces to the AI that's really running the thing, right? So that's why it's like why are these people acting like humans? I mean, you almost want to freak out because they're so robotic, and it's because they're just following the script. But the whole thing is that you're what's happening is that you need to realize when somebody is overstepping and that they haven't been taught any manners. I mean, you either shake them or you snap them out of it with gestures, right? Gestures, or you might have to physically shake them. Some people need an abrupt awakening, and some of them are cocky, right? When you're dealing with somebody cocky, that's when you got to smarten them up. And that question of does the bank own all of the accounts? I mean, you're going to the base. If they think they knew something, now they realize they know nothing. That's the base.
right. Well, yeah,
So,
I guess that's where to start from the base,
right.
if you can. Yeah.
Because think about it. When they ask me for a name, I'm usually thinking, well, hold on, before I release any information. Well, what is the name what's your name? And then they'll say a name, and I'll say, oh, are you? And then I'll say the name, or is that just the name that you're using? And then they'll usually say that's their name. And then it's like, well, I've met a few people with that name. It might not be your name. It might just be the one that you're answering to.
It sounds like the Toto, no.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Because this is you're unraveling the psych evaluation. I mean, this is where they need to be thrown off this hallucination they're on with something that they've never encountered. Nobody's asking them, first of all, if that's their name, but they're asking it all day long.
And yeah, they don't think about what they're doing. Well, they're not taught to think, I guess. They're just taught to go through the program, whatever they're programmed to do.
Yeah. Well, they ask you what's your name. Why not ask them what their name is first? Ask. Well, before we start handing out information to a voice over the phone, what's your information? Like employee ID number. Like let's first start on that side. I mean.
Yeah, because to verify them.
Yeah, before you hand out information. I mean, geez.
Yeah, like, are you who you say you are? And basically, what you just said, are you, ask their name, and then you ask them, are you, or are you just using that name? And it's doing what they do to you, to one. And I think, what do you find when they do that? Because I think they're reluctant to give out certain information. I guess it depends who it is, and they might be trained only to give, to say that they're a, one name, like what we call a first name or something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
And not give anything else.
That's exactly it. That's what they're trained to do. And the reason for that, I found, which was very obvious once you hear it, the corporations, they teach them to use their personal first name and only that. And that's so the company is not liable. If they identified with an employee ID number, that makes the company liable. So the companies through the management have released internal notes. It's just a note that says that for them not to identify. It's not policy. It's just an internal note. You can ask them. They'll always own up to it.
Okay, that's interesting. So when, just say you get a piece of paper comes and one thinks it's to them, and someone, and at the bottom they've just written like something that looks like a first name, and maybe even a title or a role or something like that. Do you think they're avoiding liability, or the company is avoiding liability, or in regards to that?
Well, what the issue is that we need to decipher the position. In other words, the account versus the one answering to a sound, right? Our account information versus the name. So it's the same thing in reverse. Are we connecting the name to the account? Like why would a first name on a template connect that name to the company? There's no connection from that name to the company. The only connection is the employee ID number. They're not an employee if they don't provide the employee ID number. That's how they know that they're an employee. That's how they act as an employee. That's their number.
Right. So what are they acting as then when they're just giving a sound?
Personal capacity.
So that's how the liability is avoided. Then
yeah, they're personally liable, and that's why now they know that, and that's why they don't want to provide their last name, because now they're going to be actually liable. So they know they're kind of half in the water, and now the company's made it so that they're going to lie and do what they can to not provide the only other piece of information for them to be actually liable personally. And again, really what we're looking for is for the company to be liable, because why would we take it out on our brothers and sisters?
Exactly, yes. But I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on how it works. So if the employee gives their full name, or in which they probably is matched to the employee number.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter if they provide a first and last name. You still have yet to identify that they work for the company. The only thing is an ID number for an employment.
Right. Okay.
Tricky, eh?
Yeah. So why would you say anything to them then?
Exactly. And that's where that's why you start speaking generally, so they have to speak to you, and it avoids that whole verification thing. And that way you don't need to go through that just to then aggravate them to then not really receive a question. If you start off general, it's light, there's no issue, they're just talking, and then you feel them out and you ask the question, they agree, there's no pressure. Now you bring up the account. Now they're just already at a conclusion, and now they're going to apply that conclusion to that account.
Right. Okay. Yes, that sounds like a strategy to what to do.
Once it's just think of it. Once you sign the document, you're chopped liver. Your job's over. They don't need you. They don't need to be polite. When you provide the information up front, it doesn't matter. They just type in notes and they've done their job. It's over. But if they're on the phone and they have yet to receive an account, they're on the hook. That's how you keep them on their toes. That's how they're still invested.
Right. And do you find that most of them they'll keep talking when you're taking that sort of general line?
You need to use the word just speaking general, just a general question, just generally. That's the main phrasing you want to say. It's casual, just a general question. Like they're always looking for a complainer or an issue. Like this is you're doing due diligence. So it's under the principle of general question and due diligence.
Right.
That's the mentality. I mean, how dare somebody be proactive and this is how they handle everything. It's nothing personal. It's just business.
Yeah,
There's just something that came up, and I'm here to straighten you guys out. And I'm only doing that because I mean, it must have come to the wrong place. I mean, this is the mentality. The whole thing is that you're helping them. You don't care what they have to say. You're doing your part. It's just like how they would have treated you. You're just calling in,
yeah,
letting them know that they're kind of all fucked up, and do what you want with it. But I want to hear the note showing that you did write down what I told you to write down.
mm,
Right?
right. Oh,
You
so
need, yeah.
do you ask them to sort of like to go over what
Oh yeah.
they've noted? Okay,
Oh yeah. And
right.
I like to say, take your time with the notes so we can get it correct, and then we'll review them just to make sure. And of course, uh, we don't want to be putting anything in there other than what was requested, because the transcript would show otherwise. You see, the transcript that's being transcribed live, that's the record. That's how you manhandle them. Is with once you let them know that the transcript will show. That means you don't need them to answer the question. You once they realize that the record is already there and they know that every conversation is entirely transcribed and they can search keywords. That's why when people call in and they're lying, they say, oh, you said this, they can search that sentence or that phrase or those words in the transcripts and see if you ever said that. Bada bing, bada boom. They know you're lying.
Right. Okay. And that's why also you say, so you know it. So one knows what they say is to record it as well. So everything is, so one has their own transcript.
That's right. That's right. Because they're going to say that we've got records of this. And you just think well, how does that help me? That's good for you guys. But how does that help me?
Right.
Right. So it's like it's out of your hands. This is the only, there's no other thing I can do. There must be an identification number so I can put it in the record that I'm creating here. This is just business. I mean, I just spent 40 minutes on the phone. I need to be able to declare who I spoke with in order to account for this time. I mean, I'm going to be audited. I mean, who knows if this is my job or not? You know what I mean? They don't know who you are.
Right. Oh, so that's the way that you try and get them to give an employee number or something?
Well, that's the mentality is you can't even I can't even justify the time I've spent on the phone unless that information is provided.
Yeah, because from their side they're fine, but from your side, from one side, it's if they don't give those sorts of things,
yeah, you got nothing. I mean,
then it doesn't really mean much. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, any stranger can tell me a fake first and even a fake last name on the street. They do all the time. But when you're in court and they ask who you spoke to and you just say a first name, they're gonna look at you like, do you think that's due diligence? The judge will laugh at you. That's what I tell them.
Right. Okay.
It's laughable, I tell them. I tell them in court, that's laughable.
But like even on depending on the circumstances and things like that, one might not want. It's like if you're interacting with these ones that call themselves or act as police, they introduce themselves as some sort of character, whatever they want to call themselves. But one in those sort of situations, it's a different thing. One doesn't have to recognise what they're saying that they are.
What they're saying they are and what they're supposed to be is best described as they're enforcing these acts, right? That's basically all they're going to point to an act and they're going to say we acted on it, right?
Well, yes, I guess that's where they'll come from. Yeah.
Yeah, simple, right? So if they're there in front of you, you gotta just wonder to yourself, I wonder at what time today they consulted that act before they acted on it. Because if they're just acting off memory and training, that has nothing to do with the authority from the act, does it?
But I mean, okay. But I mean, what authority does the act have?
Well, imagine this. Imagine this. You're going to speak about the Bible, and then somebody says, "At what time today did you consult the Bible?" And you're going to say, "I didn't today. It was in my training and from memory, but I'm still using the Bible to prosecute you today."
Right. Okay.
They need to say, okay, there's a possible burglary, so they need to look at the section number, and then they need to see, well, does what I've been told by operator meet the justification in the act to actually obtain the authority from the act to act on it and demonstrate the act in physicality, right? So when they show up and they're saying that, oh, we got a call. No. He didn't get a call. The operator got a call, and the operator told him some story. He has no idea if there was a call.
Well, I mean, that goes back to all the hearsay, right?
Well, no, it's more so he's showing up saying that he is an officer. No. He's supposed to be acting as an officer, and an officer is an office. He's supposed to be acting in office. He's not supposed to actually be an officer. He's just acting as one. So who needs a psych evaluation now?
Okay, so all right, so he's showing up as a
He thinks he is an officer. He says,
yes.
I am officer so-and-so. Well, fuck, if that's what you believe. I mean, reality is that he's supposed to be acting as one. He didn't say he's going to act as one. He's just saying he is one. So everything he does now is proper. You see?
Right. As the opposed to I am as to I'm acting as.
Right. Are they acting in office? Because an officer is just the office. Like an officer is just an office. And you're going to act as an officer, because an officer is just an office, and all an officer does is offer. It's right in the name. They're just offerings. Officer.
Oh, all right. Okay. Offering. Okay.
Right. And the offering is what they grab and bring back to, and then they present it as an offering. They're grabbing and bringing back offerings. You see? They're not offering you anything. You are the offering.
Oh. Okay. That's an interesting way of putting it.
They're going to off you. You see?
They're going to off you. They're going to try to off you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, is that they need a subject. You see? Subject matter. You see how linguistically, and then there's a physical subject. You see how there's the three levels, right? Owner, holder, manager. So they're going to try to figure out who the owner is. They're going to say, what's your name? And then they're going to say, is this yours? And that's the holding. That's possession again. And then they're going to say, well, are you using it? And there's the management.
Ah, okay. You're using it. Yes.
And the whole thing is that you can't use anything, because you need to be in possession of it, which means you need to be holding it.
And if someone else is actually holding it or managing it or owning it.
There is no such thing as holding, because that's what we're talking about, is that the whole concept is floating in the air. So it's whoever declares that they're the owner it's all about the subject appears when it's vocalized.
Right. It's like one volunteers to be whatever.
The offering.
The offering.
You're volunteering to be the offering. Me, I'll be one. They're like, perfect. We were looking for one. We actually allegedly got a call that there was someone here we needed to pick up and then drop off.
Right. Yes, well, I mean, it's all about volunteering when it comes to all these things going on, right?
Well, fear
Well, or
fear
no,
takes that.
sorry, go
Go.
ahead.
Well, I was gonna say fear takes away all of those um, fair fair trading ground. Like I was saying, is that the people on the phone, they don't want to provide that identification number because of fear. I mean
Mm,
that's why. I mean the fear is the overlay of the written rule. I mean the act is perfect. It says what it means and means what it says, but the interpretation is based out of fear.
right. Mm. Well, yes, if you're interpreting as in reading what's actually being indicated, is that what you mean?
Well, the interpreting means that you essentially didn't read it because you wouldn't need to interpret it. So what you did is you
Ah,
looked at it and then you came to a conclusion, and that conclusion will be fear-based every time. It's going to be for the conclusion as was quick, and it was done in order to preserve.
right. So, yeah, you've made these assumptions and come to a conclusion. But if you really were reading it, you wouldn't be interpreting it, and none of those things would be happening.
Yeah, you got it. You're on it.
Yeah, right.
You're possessed by it now. So to really put it in the easiest perspective is that once you're able to take or not take, but once you're able to create heavy footed steps, weight to there's no tippy toeing. Once you could, there's the confidence which comes from comprehension, which is what this is all about. Then there's no, you don't need to remember anything other than what I said, which is that key phrase. And that's only I'm saying is because that seems to work. Like it's unstoppable unless you're dealing with half a brain, or somebody who's just not there to do their job. So that's why go through the process of harming the notes on an account when I've already done that enough for everybody.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Yes, you've definitely you've put I've got another perspective on certain things, or an added perspective.
Yeah, which are just conveying the observations and the testimony from actually in field doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing is theory. It's all strictly from what was in front of me, and time and time again, just the whole thing is never trying to win or defeat or feel like they've actually disrupted anything. You can call in and you want to slow it down. You just let them know, no rush, I've allotted some time for this today. You're letting them know that they don't need to rush, that they're not getting out of it. You see, they're in the web.
Right. Well, sounds like you've done a lot of it, right? So
It's been
and
a long journey, and I'll tell you is that, like, I'll go like for 4 hours sometimes on phone calls, and by the end of it, there, like, again, that phone call that I sent you, the recording of it,
uh-huh.
that was a $1,200 check they sent in the mail, plus a few other $100. See, what they do is most people, they'll be able to maybe uh uh see a credit added to the account. And what I say is that's them paying themselves. If it's their account and they just credited their own account, they just paid
Exactly.
themselves. So that doesn't help me. So I say send it in a check, and they do.
Oh, okay. Right.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, how are they going to compensate me? There's no other way. They must send a check. Why would they
Mm.
pay themselves? That's a no-no. That once you say that and they realize it, that yeah, they can't be paying themselves. Holy shit, that's illegal.
Once you've established who's the, what did you say, the owner, the
Owner,
holder,
and
the
manager.
manager, yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's right. I mean,
That-
they're now admitting to crime, and the computer is who you're talking to, and the computer is going to tell them this. The computer is going to tell them what to say that helps you. It's going to open offers, or it's going to say for them to contact their manager, which when they say that they need to put you on hold, never let them put you on hold unless they explain exactly what they're going to do and why they're putting you on hold. There's no need to be on hold. If they have to do something and it requires you to be on hold, then they must be talking to someone. Well, if they're not talking to someone, they don't need to put you on hold. They can keep the line open. This isn't a secret time.
Okay, so I'm just writing some of these. Never let them put you on hold. Okay.
Without a detailed explanation of what they're going to do and what they plan to come back with.
Okay, okay, what they're going to do.
Like
And
what?
come back.
Like yeah. Like what? Like they're okay. You need to put me on hold. Just please explain to me the reason you're putting me on hold, and what the purpose for putting me on hold will be. Right? You're trying to find out. Like if they say, "Well, I need to talk to the manager," it's like, okay, you need to speak to the manager. Can you? Now I just need to know what you're going to come back with. What are you going to speak to them about? And you don't ask them that, but you're trying to find out what information are they going to acquire. Like, because a lot of the times when I ask that, they say what they're going to ask, and there's no point for them to ask it. Like I don't need them to do that, so I can tell them no point doing that. Don't worry about it.
Right. Okay.
Because what they're doing is they're actually putting the phone on hold so that they can speak to the one beside them, and their friends will review the account, the summary being transcribed, and they'll make a deduction and tell them what to do, and they'll do exactly what they're told. If their friend says, "Oh, screw them," they will just, that's it. It's over. They'll be impossible to deal with. They've had some snakes speaking in their ear, because they're all just at tables, and their manager is just across from the table, and they're all friends. That's it. There's no more to it, and a lot of them, they don't even realize that their boss is AI, because I'll say, "Oh, you're typing in the little chat window now," and they say, "Yeah," and I say, "Oh, you're waiting for someone to respond," and they say, "Yeah," and I say, "Oh, that response you just got, that was from your manager? Okay." I say, "Have you ever spoken to them on the phone?" And they say, "No." And I say, "You just spoken over the text, the chat room there?" And they say, "Yeah." And I say, "So you don't know if they actually exist or if it's AI?" And man, did they ever realize that, they never thought of it. I mean, they have no idea if their computer's telling them what to do or a living individual. Keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, that's that's great. Wow.
So that's what I'm saying, is that it's not a case of anybody knows what's going on. This is to show how, if you do factor in all the things that are going on, then you see, well, there's a lot going on, but it's all the same result, that they're just doing what the computer tells them. So you just snap them out of it and make it so that they can't do what the computer's saying, because they know now that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
They
Okay.
can't say that you own the bank. You'd say, well, are you sure the bank's going to be happy about hearing that everybody owns the bank and the bank doesn't own itself? You think all the bank's employees telling everybody that they own the bank, you think the bank will like to hear that? If the bank only knew that they're telling everybody that everybody owns these accounts, I mean, the bank's going to be like, holy shit, no, we own it. What are you guys talking about? Bank's not going to support that.
Well, I mean, they are called like bank accounts, right? So then that is the key.
Right.
So it's the bank's account, right?
Yeah, that's what I say. I say I say I've been led to believe, or is it true that the bank owns all of the bank's accounts? I mean, it's built right into the sentence. The
Yeah.
bank, anything with an apostrophe becomes possessive, right?
Yeah.
So anything plural is possessive.
Everything plural. Yeah. Okay. Singular also, right? It's
Well,
possessive,
it,
but
how can anything be singular if there's confusion about, are you the body or are you in the body? That's why singular is impossible.
Yeah.
Until
That's why they always use you.
yeah, which is plural.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although
Yeah,
they were,
you, and
but
you can just keep going.
but I mean, some will say that it's not though. When one is taught what that is, they'll say it's both singular and plural. But
Yeah, I know, but there's only one reason that exists. Look at the letters and then say them out loud.
TLR in the building. Real talk, real people, real impact. Pick it up. Pick it up. We're on the record. Questions loaded, facts connected. Who made the claim? What's the rule? Where's the proof? Let's inspect it. Talking, listen, and responding, impacting. Court talk, sharp minds, no acting. No arguing, we clarify. No empty speak, we verify. Line by line, call by call. Bring the issue to the wall. TLR podcast. Real conversations, real people, real impact. The record is live. The call is open. Let's get into it.